What's going on, everybody? My name is Nick Gallagher. I've been a professional canoe player for the past decade and I've won 6 world titles. Today, I'm going to be showing you exactly how I would do each trick in the 2025 Battle at the Border Amateur Open Division trick list if I were competing in this division myself.
Trick number 1, bird over valley, flip in, Tama grip finish. For this one, the most important part is, of course, the last part, the flip in. And from here, you'll notice that I tend to hold the can in a specific way. I have my thumb in the cup. I notice that I have a lot more control going for flip ins from this position if I have more of my hand up on the cups. So instead of holding a normal can grip down here, like so, and just going for a flip in from this way, I tend to move my hand up, specifically my thumb, and put it into the cup facing me. Some people I've seen do it like this, where they hold both sides, both cups, with all of their hand. This isn't necessarily bad, but my preferred way is just using my thumb for this cup right here. The reason why you want your thumb or your fingers up higher on the cups for this trick is because once you have them up here, the distance between your hand and the Tama is going to be a lot shorter than when you have your hand down here just holding a normal can grip. And this makes the Tama a lot easier to catch when you're transitioning to the airplane. Just do it one more time here. Thumb's already in the cup from when I start. And I go for the airplane, hit it almost every single time. Trick number 2, tap juggle spike. Tap juggle spike is a pretty self-explanatory trick. If you're starting at 0 with taps, I would recommend practicing tap airplanes first. Tap lighthouses, something that doesn't consist of using a juggle in the line. My number 1 tip for working on tap juggle tricks is isolating each movement as much as possible. So first, getting good at just tapping itself, just with simple tricks like tap J-stick, maybe tap airplane, tap lighthouse. Doing all these basic tricks will get you a lot better at just the tap, which is really, really good. As for the juggle, if you're really struggling on the juggle part, I would take some time to just practice multiple juggles by themselves. Use a really, really long string. Use something that is super easy to get reps on, maybe even stringless. Because the end goal is to do both of these motions unconsciously. So once you isolate both of these movements, you isolate the tap, you isolate the juggle, you get better at both. You're going to notice that your consistency with the tap juggle spike is going to go up as well. There's not much more I can say about this trick other than to just practice, practice, practice. It's a very specific movement. So make sure you have your basics down, your fundamentals with the taps and with the juggles. And if you get both of those to a high enough level, you're going to naturally get better at this one as well. Trick number 3, swing spike, juggle spike. First, for the swing spike, make sure you're not holding it in your juggle grip down here very loose. It makes it a lot harder to do the first swing spike. So make sure you're holding it with a regular can grip up top, firm, nice hold, get a regular swing spike in, and then adjust your grip. This is a super small tip, but I see a lot of people holding it juggle grip from the get-go, and they seem to miss swing spikes a lot more. So once you've got it in the spike, you're not gonna go for the juggle back to spike. And you can do this a couple ways. The first one is my personal favorite. I like to float the ball, do a 0 turn when coming out before the juggle, and then pushing it with my hand to make it do a full earth turn and come back down on the spike. So once again, 0, push, full earth turn, spike. Another way to do this is to do an earth turn plus a juggle. So essentially you're going to be making the Tama earth turn twice, one with the Ken and one with your hand. Let me show you what this looks like. Earth turn, spike. Earth turn, spike. The last way I see people do this is when they're probably not thinking very consciously of the flip. They can just kind of do a half out and then push it halfway back. So it's going to look something like this, half, 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 half. Any way is fine. Find the one that it works best for you for this competition and at your current ability, and then just commit to it from now until the competition, because as long as you have one of these variations down, this is going to be a great trick to get very consistent at, because you're most likely to get a point on it in the competition. Trick number 4, stilt flip in. This one again is very self-explanatory. I would say that if you don't have lunar flips and lighthouse flips absolutely dialed, same with J-sticks, I would practice all of these fundamentals a lot before rushing into a stilt flip. The last thing you're going to want to be worrying about is actually being able to see the flip. This should already be automatic for you, and you can get better at tracking the Ken by working on easier variations such as a jumping stick, lighthouse flip, and lunar flip. When you're going for the stilt flip, make sure your hand positioning on the tama is correct. And what I mean by correct is out of the way of the spike and very comfortable for you when holding the stilt. You don't want your thumb touching the spike when you land the stilt, and you also don't want to feel awkward trying to balance a stilt because it's a very delicate trick. And most likely, if you're not comfortable with your own grip, you're not going to be able to actually land it and balance it on during the competition. My recommendation is doing this. You see this little C shape in my hand right here. You want that facing diagonal towards your face, towards your own body. And so in order to achieve this, I have my index right here, right by the hole on the opposite side. The middle finger right here staying down by the halfway point on the back side of the tama, usually by the middle stripe. And then my ring finger is supporting from beneath right by the string hole. As you can see, my thumb is very low, below the halfway line, below the halfway stripe. And if you're able to do this, you're going to notice that the C shape in your hand is facing towards you. And for me, this is my personal favorite way to stilt because it guarantees no spikes touching, very similar to LUNAR actually with the grip, making it feel very comfortable. And so after you're consistent with your basics, your fundamental flips, you've got your hand positioning figured out, it's honestly just after this a lot of practice. Make sure to keep moisture on your bevel a lot when practicing this trick, even when you get into the competition. This is just going to make every single balance trick easier and is going to get you more reps in during the session. Trick number 5, one turn airplane, 1.5 swap spike. One turn airplane, pretty simple. Before you actually go for the 1.5 swap spike here, make sure the string hole in the Ken, this one right here, is facing away from your dominant hand. You don't want the string getting in the way, and if it's on the same side as your hand, as you can see, it's going to be wrapping around your hand, and it's not going to make for a very consistent 1.5 swap spike. It's probably going to mess you up. So no matter how you get the airplane in first, just make sure to adjust like this, get it out of the way, and you'll be ready. As for the 1.5 swap spike, there are two ways to do this from my perspective. There is one where you just float it down and it comes doing a half earth turn right down to the spike. This is my preferred method, one that I've been doing since 12 years ago. Or the other method, which is doing a full earth turn before you actually spike it. So it's gonna look something like this. I also see a lot of people doing the 1.5 swap spike like this, where you spin it and you have to come at a diagonal angle and try and get it into the spike like a down spike. I would personally not get into the habit of doing this for regular swap spikes, just for the sake of being able to do bird, stalls, everything like this down the line later. So the two recommended ways, of course, are the half earth turn and the full earth turn. No matter which one you choose, you're going to want to make sure to hold onto the tama as long as possible. You're going to want to hold onto this until the very last second, until this Ken right here does a little over a 360 spin. I usually swap my tama up when the Ken is facing away from me, that when the spike is facing away from me. So I flip it about 1 1/4 flips, and when it gets here, I swap, makes it for a very simple catch, and then I get it on the spike. Trick number 6, double gunslinger spike. So Chad did this swing in the actual video, which confirms that you can do a swing double gunslinger spike. From my perspective, there are 3 ways to do this. You can either do one, where you do it all at one time, pulling straight up, like this. Simple double gunslinger spike there. You can do the second way, the swing double gunslinger spike. Or the third way, where you can essentially do a late double gunslinger spike. So you're going to first pull up, separate these two movements. It's going to be 1, 2. So you're going to pull up the tama, do a late double gunslinger, and spike it. 1, 2. My recommendation for this is to find a kanama that is super good for gunslinger. Get your reps in, get the feeling down for a double gunslinger. Use your best tools that you have. And then from here, just pick your favorite variation of this trick. It doesn't really matter how you do it. The most important thing is you get very consistent at one of them and show up to the competition lacing it 3 for 3 every single time. My personal favorite is the swing double gunslinger. For me, this is the easiest way to see the tama and for me to actually spike it every single time. But choose your preferred method and just roll with it. Trick number 7, opposite hand airplane. This one is very simple. There's not going to be much needed to talk about here, but just to reiterate, align your foot placement with the hand you're using. So for me, since my opposite hand is right hand, I'm going to stick my right foot out just a little bit in front of me. I'm going to keep the Ken in front of me at all times. I'm not going to have it back here swinging behind my body. I want to keep it visible from start to finish for this trick, so I'm going to align it right in front of my body right here. And then of course, with my opposite hand, I'm going to be holding the tama straight up like this. One thing I actually really want to hammer home is the fact that you don't have to play super high. You don't have to hold the tama above your head when you're doing opposite hand tricks. I see a lot of people hold their tama super duper high when they're doing opposite hand tricks, maybe because it's awkward and they feel better just starting at a higher placement. You don't need to do this. Keep it at chest level. Keep it at the same level you would when doing the trick with your dominant hand. It might feel awkward at first, but just relax. You don't have to do anything special. It's just an airplane. Play low. Play like you always do. And you'll be able to get this trick 3 for 3 in no time. Trick number 8, down spike fast hands, jumping stick. For down spike fast hands, my one single tip, no matter how you hold it, is to keep your hand very low on the Ken, meaning that you want to have your hand, your fingers essentially on some part of the cups when going for this trick. The reason I say that, and not to hold it like a normal Ken grip like this for down spike, something like along these lines, is because you want to minimize the distance between your hand, your fingers, and the tama. Because once making this transition, the closer your hand is for the fast hand, the more seamless it will be. I personally prefer to hold it like this when going for down spike fast hands. A lot of people also hold it like this with the cups facing them, and they're holding both the cups on both sides with all their fingers, thumb here, other fingers here. Find your preferred method and just practice the down spike fast hand, because this is the main difficult part of the trick. Lastly, of course, I recommend pulling up the tama inward when doing down spike fast hands, just because you can see the tama coming up towards you, and it's going to make for a very simple transition. So once we're here, you don't have to worry about going super fast, going to the J-stick and trying to get it knocked out of the way as fast as possible. You can take your time, adjust the Ken, get the string out of the way, adjust for the perfect setup for the jumping stick, use your knees, and this part should be a breeze. Trick number 9, handle stall, bird, in. I always do my handle stalls like this, but for handle stall to bird specifically, I recommend having the Ken at a slight angle when you do your first handle stall, meaning I'm not keeping the Ken flat like this, but you're going to notice that the cups are actually facing up when I get it on the handle stall. From here, since the cups are already facing up, once I go for the bird, I don't have to reposition my hand, twist the angle of it in any way at all. It's already there for me, so it's going to make the transition a lot more simple. You can choose to either do a flip or a drop to bird like this. I personally would do a flip because this is just a lot easier to see for me. So one more time, I'm going to show the difference between the drop and the flip. So this is the drop. This is the flip. The flip I feel a lot better on. Just being able to see that tama hole and be able to have time to track it instead of essentially guessing where the hole is on the bottom if you drop it. This makes it a lot easier for me to land this trick 3 times out of 3. And then of course for the spike, you can either flip or drop it in. I'll go flip. Trick number 10, lunar barrel roll in. For lunar barrel roll, you'll notice the one thing that I do always is adjust my hand positioning before I actually go for the barrel roll. This, you'll see here, is normal lunar grip for me. The C shape looks like this. It's looking very normal. This is how I hold lunars. But for when I go for a barrel roll, you'll notice I actually put my hand down like this, and it starts to form more of a U down here. And the reason I do this is because if I have my hand at this angle when I'm pushing the barrel roll, I notice that the barrel roll comes smooth and is straight 99% of the time. So if your barrel rolls are currently not straight and they don't look super perfect coming around, try out this tip, adjust your hand positioning like this, get it kind of going underneath, going diagonally up and outwards, and try the barrel roll. One more time from start to finish, regular lunar grip looking like this, adjust for the barrel roll down here. Nice clean flip there, and we're good. Trick number 11, inward lunar, flip cushion inward lunar, in. The main tip I have for cushion inward lunar flips is to simply not try and go tap it, but to think of actually letting the Ken tap the tama. So you're essentially just waiting for it to hit the tama and just fall onto the tama by itself. Inward lunar cushions are a super delicate trick. That's why I have this frame of mind when doing them. You don't really have to do much on your end. You're simply just waiting for the Ken to tap the tama, and you're going to just catch the landing. My last tip for this trick is to make sure you're flipping the Ken relatively fast. The worst thing that can happen is when you actually don't flip the Ken fast enough, so it doesn't have enough speed or power to even make it to the cushion and for you to even catch the landing. So instead of doing your flips like that, make sure they're quick and nice and tight. From here, it's just practice. You guys have definitely got this one 3 times out of 3. This is going to be nulled a lot during the competition. Trick number 12, swing spike, double whirlwind. Once again, for the swing spike, hold a normal Ken grip. You don't need to start with whirlwind grip. This is going to make the swing spike a lot harder and have a lot of people miss. So hold it up here, nice firm grip, swing spike, and then after that, you can adjust. For double whirlwind, I don't actually have a lot of tips for this one. It comes with a lot of practice and just feeling out the timing of a double whirlwind for your own self. One thing I would keep in mind is to actually make sure you're using a Kendama with a longer spike, something that is not too short. Because if it is too short, the Tama is likely to slip out from the spike and not complete a full rotation, or sometimes do more than one rotation. So make sure you're using your best tool that you can when practicing this trick. Make it easy on yourself. Make sure the spike is of decent length. And then from here, it's just a lot of trial and error with feeling out the speed, the flip, the comfortability of the double whirlwind. Trick number 13, goon circle spike. The main tip I have for goon circles, especially for a single to spike, is to throw it low and fast. What I mean by that is you're not going to throw it super high up, get it up here, catch it up here. You're going to want to throw it low by your hip. It's going to feel in a way essentially like you're throwing it right at the ground, but if you keep it low and by your hip, by your side right here, you're going to notice that this is a perfect place to catch the Ken. The next thing you want to do is, of course, make sure you're throwing it at a nice speed. You want to be able to catch the Ken when it comes around and still have time to find the hole, find a spike. And this can be achieved if you throw it relatively fast. If you throw it slow, it's going to look something like this. And you're going to notice that by the time you catch the Ken, the Tama is already yanking or falling on to the spike, and you're not going to be able to actually see or track where it is, making you very unlikely to land it. So throw it low, throw it fast. And this is how you're going to get very consistent at the goon circle to spike. Trick number 14, lightning drop swap spike. This is without a doubt one of the most difficult tricks on this list. If you're able to get consistent at this one, you're more than likely to take a point against many people in the competition. I would, more than anything, recommend two things. Practice on a short string, something between 5 and 7 fingers, even shorter if you'd like, and practice over grass. So I would go somewhere like right here. Chances are you're going to be dropping your Kendama a lot, so play over a soft surface, and spacewalks are always easier if you use a shorter string. I can't emphasize that enough. Please practice on something that is made for spacewalks. Before practicing the lightning drop swap spike, I would recommend practicing the spacewalk swap spike if you haven't already. It's just a single rotation, it's a single turn instead of a double. It's going to help better isolate the two parts of the trick, which is the big spacewalk and the swap spike at the end. Doing a normal spacewalk swap spike is obviously going to help emphasize the practice and help you get more consistent at the swapping part of the motion. So once you get this down, once you can do this unconsciously without having to put much effort into it, you can then move on to the lightning drop swap spike. What's good about isolating the movements is that once you get one part down, all you have to do is focus on the other part, the more difficult part for yourself, such as for this example, the lightning drop. And then once you know you catch it well and you make it here, you know that this swap spike at the end is going in. For this trick too, guys, make sure you're throwing the lightning drop relatively fast. You don't want to throw it too slow because that mitigates your chances of landing the trick entirely if you're not able to even catch the Tama. So I recommend throwing it fast, catching an overhand like this. You want a normal airplane grip on the Tama by the time you're going for the swap spike. You'll notice that actually if you're able to catch it like this, it's going to be the same positioning as you would have from a 1-1-5 swap spike from airplane. So this last part here, the swap motion, is going to feel very, very similar to this. One more time, we're going to throw fast, catch overhand, go for the swap spike, and lace. Guys, this one takes a lot of practice, but I promise you, if you're able to get this difficult trick down, you're guaranteed taking points against everybody in the competition. Trick number 15, stunt plane, inward stunt plane flip. First part, super simple, stunt plane. First thing, of course, is to have the cups facing upwards to get a clean, straight flip for your inward stunt plane flip. If you stunt plane and the cups aren't like this at first, you can just easily, very easily adjust it with your hand. You're holding the full bottom of the Tama, so nothing crazy has to go on here. Anybody can make adjustments. Get your Ken into perfect positioning, and now it's time to go for the inward flip. You'll notice that most of my hand is actually disconnected from the Tama. It's not holding it super tight, super close like this. For me, the most comfortable grip is actually holding it a little far out, because I notice if I hold it too close, the inward stunt plane flip is actually a lot harder to control, and I can't spike it as well. So I get it in the stunt plane, have a loose grip, keep my palm away from the Tama. I'm still holding the Tama on the top side with all of my fingers, thumb right here, other 4 fingers on the back side like this, and then I'm ready to go for the inward stunt plane flip. For this one, guys, you're going to want to be pushing downwards, pushing down with your hand. Use your knees. Really make this feel like it's going in slow motion for you. So come down with your knees, come up with a flip, and just smash it home like that for an inward stumbling flip. I foresee this one being very, very consistent for a lot of competitors out there, so I would recommend getting this 3 for 3 consistency. This is one of those tricks where it might be difficult at first, but once you get the technique down, it's almost every single try.